towards the late game and be the self-sufficient marksman to fight off the pain, fight off the long, and even his spell 2 allows him to purify from the Dharma's engage.
Yeah, and he's also one of those marksmen as well, right, that loves to build the Sparkforged dagger. So obviously that's now going to reach into the enemy backline, into these team fights as you're just bashing away that basic attack. Because we know with Tyrant, he also has his passive. You need to stack up to get that movement speed.
And we'll talk about Tyrant's early game, right? He formulates this early game to allow Yulong on this Jing to scale comfortably towards the 4 to 8 minute mark. That's where Yulong comes in, says like, okay, I'm here. Time for me, Yulong, to carry.
Yulong to carry. But look at, again, we're getting the second Zhongfei of this part of the tournament, right? We saw that Clue went for the stun, but Fei here going for the smite. What is the win conditions between these two?
All right, as we move into the gorge, Nongshim RedForce and Alpha Gaming are going to come here and battle it out to get the last ticket into the last chance. Nongshim RedForce on the blue side, Alpha Gaming on the red. Sagi, Blam, take it from here.
So, back to your question, Black. Win condition. We have to see Kyung9 and Fei look for these big team fights and Haku dictating their early game tempo. On the side of APG, as long as they formulate a comfortable scenario for Yulong to carry, it's gonna be so good for them scaling towards the mid to late stages of the game.
So we're looking at obviously funneling resources into those specific heroes as well, right? We see the light of cheer here. We have obviously Amu Sensei. Look at the cheer on the MKL team.
Exactly, MKL Chayo, Jiayo is what they are saying right here. They're cheering on MKL, giving their spirit here. And talk about spirit here, APG looks to secure the first fire beat of the series.
Yeah, again, obviously for those watching at home, that camp down to the bot side of the map is very important in terms of getting that early resources because it only spawns once.
Exactly, only spawns once, and once that's up, you'll see teams start to rotate themselves towards this clash lane as the Dimensional Sprite is a key objective towards the early game.
Key objectives is definitely what's going to have you that early game lead, and we can already see here APG are 4.4k to Nongshim's 3.8. But we've always said Nongshim like to try and set up that late game, whereas APG, they like to have a bit more of aggression, but sometimes struggle in the late game.
Exactly, and a fast mid-wave clear here comes in for APG. They make sure that they clear the mid-wave and allow Yulong to escape towards the gorge.
Yeah, speaking about fighting, obviously fight to the end is going to be CD key that you can redeem in-game to get yourself a few extra little bit of tokens as well, right?
Exactly. Go to the community, click on CD key, enter that code there, and you, your friend, my friend here, redeem that.
Redeem that. And speaking of redeem, we're not going to be seeing the redemption there of the invincibility on the Yixing, right? PHY took enough damage, but also knew when to actually disengage.
And that's a key spell here, being burned from the side of APG. That's a 2-minute being expended, but now when you get engaged,
no, a 2v1 is not what you want when you're APG, trying to get those resources in the early game.
And that's a misclick of a common spell here coming in from Daohun. He wanted to escape here, but he flashed forward towards Kyung9 and Haku's paw, welcoming the first blood from Nongshim RedForce.
I mean, we have a buffet at the hotel, but at that part, you don't really want to be self-serving some kills over to your enemy team, right? Especially when you already had that goal lead, but now, thanks to that extra bit of bonus resources from that first blood, Nongshim's now ahead.
Exactly, the goalie is dead even for both teams. Nongshim clawed it back to a 50-50 right now. Our eyes is glued to these two junglers here as they are looking to cement a certain form of goalie here as they are the primary advantageous parts of really securing all these early goals.
Or the early gold as well. I mean, we're seeing a neutralizing of both of those gold resources right now for both Haku and Yulong at certain points within the game. Now Haku's got the advantage.
And look at all these two mid lane plays out. They are very similar in terms of Illusion and PHY. They want to pressure the side lane. They want to provide the resources towards the jungle assassin carries here. Look at the pressure here coming in from Haku.
Oh, okay. The Bright Light Burst does catch onto the backline. PHY gets taken down. Second kill going over to the side of Nongshim. JD just trying to do a little bit of damage from a distance. Yulong is able to get out in the long approach.
And this is thanks to Nongshim's Illusion, getting that flash away from PHY just 1 minute ago. And right now, the jungle is wide open. And Haku, he's going to be looking. Are we going for the Tyrant here? Or am I going for the jungle invade on this approach?
Nobody's winning just yet, but winning now, the CD key, you can redeem some more free everything boxes. But speaking of everything, this Tyrant could mean everything to this early game.
Exactly, and especially when we talk about these jungle assassins here, they want to prioritize their buffs first before formulating a fight around this Tyrant that's so important in providing the damage buff to your team, to push out waves, to rotate even faster.
Rotate even faster, exactly. It's not just damage, it's the movement speed that this Tyrant gives, right? But right now, we're looking at this whole picture, and neither teams are going for these neutral objectives because there's no clear priority in either of these lanes. APG solidify that down to the bot side.
And exactly, APG starts off the Tyrant here, but as we mentioned, it's not much of a priority when we have two assassin junglers here. So, right now, the key identity that we're looking at here is whoever gets the jungle control. Is it going to be Haku onto this Pei, or is it going to be Yulong onto this Jing?
That's what the only time will tell, right? I mean, we are seeing that Haku is going to try and look for a feel of that Azure Golem, but it's already gone. So a little bit of a wasted time right now from the side of Nongshim. But he's got to check these things because he has no intel for himself. But Dalhan does get double knock-up back onto, and that is going to be a bridal outburst, taking another kill for Nongshim.
2 kills, and the third one going in for the side of Nongshim RedForce here. Dalhan, once again, being punished here, and then knocked up here onto the roamers, onto Saber here, but Yulong goes in.
Nice save for the common spell for Saber, but it's not going to save Kyung9. We get the kill there. PHY, Saber is now on the run. Siri gets the kill onto Saber, uses the infinite vastness to get out alive.
And that is a lot of spells here being committed from both teams here to secure a kill. Right now, the middle tower is wide open, and Haku does a bit of damage before jumping away to safety.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a little bit of a nice kind of like bait and switch here. Yes, they got the kill onto Dalhan down to the bot side of the map, but then they were able to put a lot of pressure on here into the clash lane. So now Kyung9 has to play a lot more safely.
And this is why we talk about playing the map, right? Exactly. You rotate everyone to the top side to get the turret on the side of APG. So when Dalhan rotates toward to the bottom side, a lot of the Nongshim members immediately collapse on him because they know for a fact that all the vision information is shown onto the map.
Shown onto the map right here. Kyung9 has to try and give a bit of a defense down to the bot side of the map here, but Yulong is claiming that T1 down there, so side lanes are opening up here for APG. Kills may not be their MO, but definitely getting some monopoly here and trying to close that goal lead, even though it's small. We need to be going through.
And it's a dead even, as I mentioned here. Not a lot of big fights has been occurring for both these teams. There is still yet a full-on 5v5 confrontations here. Only a few kills dropped here and there. So the first major team fight will be potentially around a buff or a tower or even the Shadow Tyrant.
Shadow Tyrant could be being contested here. Obviously, APG, a lot of attention here onto Faye. Unbridled Outburst is going to keep him alive as well, but the zoning from Yixing's World's board was enough to keep him in place. So no kills going over here, but a lot already been expanded from the side of APG.
But Nongshim has such a good potential and the position here. They are locking off any return coming in from the side of APG. Right now, they get the mid tower and they look potentially for a big engage, but they choose to back off and they choose to look at their Azure Golem that's being camped by APG's Yulong.
Yeah, I mean, here, Faye's checking. You're going to be wanting Faye to go in there. He doesn't have the unbridled outburst, so he is going to be a little bit more worse for wear. But at the same time, Kyung9 trying to keep Saber away so they don't collapse onto that Azure Golem. But I have to say, great zoning from that Destructive Deluge, right? It really set up that takedown of the T1 in the mid lane.
Oh yeah, when it comes to all these positional advantages, Nongshim RedForce forcing APG to escape towards the left side and making sure that they defend the left side long bush. So if you're APG, if you re-enter that, you're going to be met by Kyung9's invade here.
Exactly that, right. Now, so APG are situated around the Crimson Golem. Will they steal it, or are they able to actually get it? Yes, it goes over to JD, so that's going to be some extra damage to be taken off from Haku, but that's going to be no problem here for Kyung9. He catches PHY. They catch another with the Unbridled Outburst. At the same time, JD goes down as well as Dohan. Double kill going over to Haku. They're looking for more.
Kyung9 comes out huge with the flank coming in from Clash Lane towards the mid lane, immediately forcing so many spells from the side of APG, and APG gets punished hard.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an overstep there. It seems that Nongshim RedForce was like, hey, they will take the invitation into the enemy jungle, and we're going to get so much more, especially with those minion waves pushing through into those lanes.
And exactly, another invitation that I want to bring out is the Floorborn Outfit Design Contest, which is live now. So check it out in the HOK camp and potentially get yourself a cash prize.
Cash prize, I mean cash money. Not only the players, but you can be earning some cash as well, thanks to the community of Honor of Kings. But speaking of cash, we're looking at these gold resources, right? 29.1k to the 26.5. So Nongshim are already now cementing that gold lead.
And this stems back to our discussion during the pre-game draft, right? It talks about whoever plays towards the jungle tempo will get value, and playing towards Haku's tempo has been rewarding them fruitfully for Nongshim RedForce.
Exactly. Nongshim RedForce, I mean, they were getting the kills, they were suffering with the turret takedowns, but they have actually managed to put a lot of pressure on into the mid lane here onto APG. But if we look at this, Haku is untouchable, 4-0-1, whereas Daohan is taking a few punches there.
Ultimate's traded from Daohan and Kyung9 here, but Siri here gets the Infinite Vastness forced out right before the 10-minute objective here. That's the Mirror Domain traded for Siri's Infinite Vastness.
Yeah, I mean, trying to steal that Crimson Golem is probably not the best bet here for the side of APG, and no target should be that Siri right onto the loop, because if you can't CC lock him down and do all that damage, he's just going to escape with that ultimate. That is a good play from Nongshim Siri at this point. We do see another turret takedown.
And 10 minutes strong, Shadow Tyrant has been spawned onto the map. 10 members strong here, cultivating a fight towards the Shadow Tyrant here. So whoever pulls the trigger first will potentially have the advantage, especially Siri does not have the Infinite Vastness here.
Yeah, he has no Infinite Vastness, but he's going to look for a bit of a flank here. Highly contested, a direct torrent here, but at the same time, into the back line, we see the Destructive Deluge being placed down. Haku is going to fight onto the left, but that was going to be the trap there. They are able to knock out Haku, meaning that the neutral objective could not be contested, but at the same time, they're thinking for two different motives, getting that high ground turret.
And Nongshim's RedForce map movement is so clean here. Right before the objective start, right before Shadow Tyrant spawn, they set up the clash and mid-wave here so it clashes towards the enemy. APG, they were in rush to start this Overlord, and right now they will punish heavily as Daohan gets kneeled by the Lung.
That's the problem when you have Siri on the lung. It's going to be highly impactful, highly damage coming through him right now. I mean, Siri right here is currently in the top 4 of damage dealt, as you can see to that chart onto the right side of the screen right now. APG looking to contest this Overlord right, and they are able to secure it from Nongshim RedForce. This could be a potential comeback here for APG if they're lucky.
They salvaged what they could. They still managed to trade the Shadow variant for a Tyrant here. Nongshim gets the Tyrant. They get buffed up in terms of combat here. APG gets the Vanguard here, allowing them to play these waves much safer.
Playing them safer. It's actually having that extra little bit of a safety belt here with the Vanguard, right? They're able to put it down to the bot side of the map, so the pressure there is going to be alleviated for now. So really, we're going to be looking at APG and where they want to take this fight.
For me, APG is putting so much pressure onto Yulong to carry these fights, and especially Siri is doing such a good job escaping Yulong's catches. So realistically, if Yulong doesn't get these catches, it's going to be so much pressure on the side of APG to realistically break this game open.
Break this game open. I mean, they're going to try, right? I mean, they don't have access to that mid lane just yet. Maybe after a good, decent team fight, we're already seeing that Saber is there just to take these blows from Nongshim at this point. Try and bait out enough resources before they try and take a team fight. But speaking of which, we see the illusion gets taken down. Yulong comes in from the lung side, gets the kill, and looks to get a little bit more. Haku looks pretty low. JD picks up the kill, but the unbridled outburst into the back line is going to be baited and used. The Infinite Vastness is going to be Siri here, looking to defend this T2, but APG looking to come in thick and hot onto Nongshim.
And APG is 5-man strong. They got 3 members coming in from Nongshim. Nongshim falters in the team fight here. With this scenario here, APG is looking for a angle to potentially end this game here, Blam.
Yes, I mean, this is the opening that they could go for, but now they have the minions, they have the Vanguards, but they're like, okay, let's get some more high ground turrets.
getting the high ground turrets, making sure that they get the objectives, get back the goal towards their back here. Ladies and gentlemen, this game is pulled wide open, back to a 50-50 between Nongshim RedForce and Alpha Gaming.
Alpha Gaming definitely coming back within this late game, right? I mean, Yulong is now obviously out-resourcing the Haku onto the side of Nongshim, so now they have to take this stride and make sure they deliver something for their team.
It's a battle between junglers here, and Yulong finding these insane catches towards the mid to late stages of the game, and Haku was the one to put on these early tempos here. But right now, the waves are pressuring towards the bottom side of Nongshim RedForce. They are losing control of their jungle.
They're losing control of the jungle, but that's thanks to the opening up at the mid lane, right? I mean, that Crimson Golem is definitely going to go over to the side of APG for now. Goes over to JD, so a little bit more damage coming through for the D-Ranger into the late game. Succubus Cloak being built here because that Destructive Deluge has been very impactful in terms of stopping APG into these team fights.
Exactly, and right now, 14 minutes onto the clock. The double carries coming in from the side of Nongshim and APG. They have full build already, and check out this replay real quick.
Yeah, checking out this replay, obviously this was the key into the door that got Nongshim into the mid lane, right? Obviously a lot of damage was baited from Saber in that early part of the team fight, but speaking of team fights, we are locking in right now. We see the Mirror Domain being committed there, doing a lot of damage on Haku. He has to get out, but Siri onto the other side of that team fight takes down Yulong. So currently a 1-0 trade, make that 2, and maybe some more here. JD's gonna be careful, but Daohan comes in with a re-engage. Faye looking like he may get taken down, and another kill.
Faye gets taken down, Illusion gets taken down, a 2-for-1 exchanger coming in from APG and Nongshim RedForce. Right now, the Shadow variants has once again respawned onto the map. However, Nongshim RedForce does have Haku, their jungler, being alive for this take.
They do have the jungle, but at the same time, I mean, they are more than likely going to go for the Tyrant onto the side of APG, right? They already have the pressure into these lanes. They're looking to gain some more power from that Tyrant.
Exactly, and look at the map state right now. Nongshim RedForce, yes, they secured the Shadow Vanguard here. However, the map state is putting so much pressure onto them, and they are forced to give up the space for APG to secure this Shadow Tyrant.
I mean, that last item built by Kyung9 showing that where he's fearing the most is the magic damage coming from APG, right? Demon's Bane being that attack damage item that gives you some magic resistance also.
Exactly, the more physical damage you build, the more you benefit from Demon's Bane. So that's how the item works. It's super good as a 4th to 5th item, completing or making perfect your build to a full whole.
A full whole indeed. I mean, we're getting to that right about 16-minute mark here for both of these teams. Haku is looking for a little bit more defense measure, building this Cuirass of Savagery, right? An item that obviously gives you offense, but defense at the same time. But right now, it's a little bit of a kind of calm before the storm, right?
Illusion might be caught out here, gets engaged on by Daohan.
There is the calm before the storm. It's coming down thick and raining hard like a British weather right now. 2-1 trade for the side of APG. Looking to pick up Haku as he's getting out into Tiger form. He pounces, he gets the Sage Sanctuary, one off onto Yulong. Double kill comes through. Faye is looking like the last stance between APG and Nongshim. They need to carry that one singular minion through to the game to get #1 points on the board for APG.
When we talked about this game, it's about the 2 junglers, and the jungler who came out on top is APG's Yulong. On to this Jing.
Again, fantastic performance here from APG. I mean, it looked rough for them, right? In the early game, they were losing kills left, right, and center. But it was all about those win conditions we were talking about in the BP, right?
Exactly, when we talked about this, whoever gets the tempo that they're seeking for, Haku wants to seek the domination of the pay in the early towards the mid game. However, APG's Yulong mastered the game plan, knows for a fact that the Jing has to scale towards the mid to later stages of the game, and they were rewarded with the final game-winning fight.
I mean, we speak about mid, right? This was the ultimate thing within the replay, that the mid lane was the reason why APG was able to come back. They were able to open up that mid lane that was already sorely battered by the side of Nongshim RedForce. So they had to go through, capitalize on that, and then just make a little bit more ends meet on top of that access into the mid lane. But there was absolutely some really calculated brawls between these two teams.
Oh, exactly. They were fighting every time they could. And this was a fight, right? Haku gets taken out immediately, by Yulong's Jing. And once again, this one, look at JD. He got bounced straight into the Haku's face and gets executed by JD's token.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, that's stun and damage reduction is definitely going to be the one to put a bit of a stop there to Haku, but at the same time, we have to give props over to Daohan as well. He obviously, the way that teams play this party, they look for the engage, they try and get the out and try and go back in to deal a lot of damage like we just saw there. Just helping JD take down Faye.
And this was a crucial one. Illusion face checking a boost while not having the boost control and immediately gets punished. And look at this fight. Look at Yulong here. Yes, Kyung9 gets the double engage onto the carry, but look at the Jing. Immediately looks for the bait onto Haku. Switch over to the Sage Sanctuary into the Destiny. That is the masterclass coming in from a high APM player.
A masterclass, but at the same time, I mean, Kyung9, did we really see any playmaking potential from that Truth Mantra? I don't remember any moments where I was thinking, whoa, the Dharma is on the Gorge. I was thinking like, oh, there's a Clash Lane on the Gorge.
I think from what I saw in this game, very interesting. We analyzed how their teams have their ups and they have their downs. They might be lacking in consistency. We said that some days they have good days, some days they have bad days. I think that in here, Nongshim RedForce had a good start, but they did not know how to move it into a strong win.
For me, it's definitely the case because Nongshim RedForce, they were met at a wall of team fights.
Yeah.
When it comes to team fights, they definitely look for these big engages here. On the side of APG, they played that really well as well. They were constantly negating these team fights with their mobility, with their spell kits here. So it's a 50-50. Whoever comes down to the execution here will win.
But what was the moment in the game that you think that things just turned around for APG?
APG, I mean, it's all that all-important mid-fight, right? Like, they were just taking that mid-fight. They got the minion wave, obviously pressure coming through as well. So they was like, right, guys, we got to take this fight or else we lose it. Because, I mean, their mid lane was completely decimated. So they saw a moment, they capitalized on it, and they got the fruits that they bared.
And especially, I do think so as well, Illusion was constantly being caught out by the likes of Daohan, by the likes of Yulong on this Jing. And too many times result into you losing your tempo that you built thanks to Haku and thanks to Kyung9, resulting in even difficult win conditions because we talked about that. Yulong, if he scales towards the late game, that's not going to be fun for your team.
Not fun at all, right? I mean, we've seen some Lady Gens work really well, obviously being a little bit of that kind of scapegoat, like we've seen, obviously, OG Wen normally play. But at this time, like you were saying, Illusion was kind of phase checking, which is not how you play as a scapegoat. You have to drop that destructive deluge into the team fights, and then if you die, that's okay. You're there to do the damage.
Yeah, but if the fight has not even started and the Illusion has already been erased from the map, that's not gonna allow them to get a win.
Exactly. When you look at the 4v5 angle, even if Kyung9 got such a good engage on towards the backline of the likes of APG, he caught out JD, he caught out Yulong, but the destructive deluge wasn't there. There was no real team fight. It was a scrappy 4v5 coming in from Nongshim RedForce.
And at the same time, I feel like most of this has to give props over to Saber, right? Like, he has played a fantastic roam game to bait the enemy team into a team fight, but also bait their skills. And only dying once, but getting 11 assists really shows that, yes, he was there to do that, but he was definitely there to stay as well.
Saber was so vital into kind of like initiating the fights.
Yes.
But he initiated the fights in order for Yulong to come in and take the kills. Without Yulong there, taking the kills, dealing damage, the win wouldn't have been there. Yes or no?
I would definitely have to agree. He was providing these heals. He was providing so much space for the entire APG roster to really foster into this mid to late game. Because without the healing coming in from this Yuhuan, he wouldn't be able to become the MVP of our game.
Most valuable player of this game is going to be Alpha Gaming's Yulong on the Jing.
Behind every great jungle, there is a great roam, right? And I mean, definitely he was there, Saber, the knight in shining armor, to set up those plays for Yulong. But ultimately, he is the guy that pulled the trigger. Obviously, 5-1 to KDA, a lot of damage dealt, but also a lot of damage taken, but reflected thanks to Jing's kit.
That is the beauty of Jing's kit, right? The mirror reflection. Every time you swap, you get a damage reduction. If he times it right, he can really block these high burst flaming bombs coming in from the side of the Nongshim series. Look.
So let's analyze a little bit the game as we just move forward into game number 2. Alpha Gaming does not have the best of starts. Nongshim RedForce actually start really well. Does that happen because of the composition, that it was a different composition, or does it happen just because of the decisions that they made?
I think it's because of the decisions they made, right? I mean, that definite focus up into the top side of the map so that Kyung9 didn't have kind of like the safety net to kind of go back onto if he did take an L here and there. The fact that they focused the clash lane meant that Kyung9 had to be very much roaming around the gorge, and if they haven't got the intel onto the side of Nongshim, you're not going to have that impact from the Dharma.
What do you think, Sagi?
For me, I think APG's weak point comes into their early game. When their early game fumbles, they sort of take a long way and they crumble even harder. But for this game, Yulong and the side of Saber really was defense engage to really push back Nongshim's attempt to really snowball the game. So for me, if Daohan can fix his early game and play to an even elevated level, APG is going to be very scary coming to game 2.
We're hoping to see a little bit of a stronger performance from Alpha Gaming and Nongshim RedForce. The hero picks are going to be vital for that. We're mentioning that probably Alpha Gaming might want to solidify a little bit more during the early game. Any picks that you would say that could help them right now to take that home?
To take that home in terms of the early game, I mean, you're looking at the likes of obviously up into the clash lane, early game, great picks, obviously like your Byron and stuff like that, right? I mean, they could obviously switch out the Jing for a pay, but I feel like that's going to get banned out within this next BP because now Nongshim's got it, and they're going to take it away.
It has to be banned.
Yeah.
It has to be banned. Nongshim RedForce cannot allow the pay to be there for Alpha Gaming in this next game where they are playing for their lives, isn't it?
That's what we talked about back into the draft. A very expensive draft for you to be losing. You pick out the Long, you pick out the Pei, you pick out the Zhang Fei, even with the Dharma here. So, realistically, how many bans do you have in the first phase? You don't have enough. You still have to mark for the Mai Shiranui here. So, for Nongshim RedForce, you gotta be thinking, how do you want to formulate your game 2 draft? Because, man, that's an expensive draft you just did in game 1.
One of the beautiful things about this game, right? Like, if you are playing global ban pick, if you put all your coins in there, you put all your chips in and you say, I'm all in, and you don't win, you're allowing, you don't only take the L, you're allowing your opponents to take all of those picks for the next round.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we only have 4 bans as well, right? So it's not like you can ban out all 5 of the previous team's comp. Then it's like, hey, you've got to let one of them slide.
Exactly, and you have to really formulate around what your team wants to play and what the team is capable of taking, because if you give Yulong a pay here, I don't think that's a wise decision, and still, we have yet to see the Luna here.
You have to still wait to have to see the Luna as well. I mean, we have the Orgrin as well. Both of these teams can take the Orgrin. Maybe the fact that Nongshim didn't quite get the victory there in the early game for Pei, I mean, they did have a better early game than APG. That is facts. But maybe if they go for the Orgrin, maybe if they have a little bit more late game potential onto a correct player like Haku, maybe we could see something actually come into fruition here for RedForce, as long as they don't take the fights on the side of APG's terms.
Ooh, it's starting to get more and more of a jungle head-to-head matchup, as we mentioned here. Both junglers are coming up huge in this series. Haku, really the heart, the stonewall for the side of Nongshim RedForce, and Yulong, the hero that APG needs to really secure themselves to a really smooth victory path here, Blam.
Smooth victory path. I mean, it's for both of these teams, to this point, it hasn't been that smooth in terms of getting to this point, right? Like, the victories have either been like, it's obviously they're both at 1-1 now, because either of these teams need a series to get through into the last chance. So both of these teams are playing at kind of like even standings, I feel like, because neither of them have had like outstanding performances, because they're both here. They're both in the lower brackets. They're both fighting for survival within KWC.
And that's the beauty of the format, right? You are still given this chance to really progress towards the playoffs here. So right now, if you're Nongshim RedForce, if you don't fix up your scrappy late game, that's going to be a big issue, because this is your final chance to claw yourself back into the series. And for the side of APG, if they can fix their scrappy early game, especially for the side of their top side, their mid lane side, they are going to have an even smoother path towards the last chance stage.
Exactly that. I mean, after the first games, like Isaac was saying, that you expand a lot of those big picks, whoever's on blue side, do you reckon the Luna's going to come through? Or do you think, as we've seen historically through KWC, when we see all these picks be expanded, the Ali comes through in game number 2? If so, which team do you think will go for the Ali?
Oh, we talk about the early, it definitely has to go towards JD. But talking about that, it has been banned already here. Banning out the pay, banning out the loan. Nongshim RedForce does look like they have an angle to go towards the Maestro or Luna here.
Yes, so they do. I mean, Maestro being banned here, so it must be. It's got to be the Luna, because if they don't give the Luna to themselves, they're giving it over to Yulong, right?
And that is insanely dangerous because Yulong is on fire right now. But instead, Fatih being picked up on the side of Kyung9 here. But I gotta say, Fatih has been expended from the side of Alpha Gaming here.
Yep.
I do not know the priority behind this because you can still pick this towards the later stages of your draft.
Yeah, I mean, they could ban it here if they really wanted to. Obviously, if they weren't kind of like Clash Lane orientated first picks in the blue side, which most times out of 10 they normally are. But now Alpha Gaming, they could go for like a Luna. They could go and unlock something else in like Zhongfei, but they're going to go for the Byron and the Motsu here. So maybe they're trying to bait out the Luna for themselves. Obviously have that long range shutdown here.
Ooh, that definitely has to be the case here because if we look at both sides, they definitely want to secure a very safe jungle matchup for their own jungle here. And especially locking in that Mozu here provides so much early game pressure alongside the Byron here. Cannon Blast to check bushes, Cannon Blast to really catch out these early game objectives here, especially Cannon Blast wins you lanes as well.
It wins you lanes as well, and who haven't we been seeing for a while? The Sakia, but this combo in particular in the leagues were very fruitful, the G and the Sakia. I mean, the Mulberry power in the early game can deal so much damage, but then if you pair these two together, you've not only got the ultimate, the Imperial Order from D, you've also got the Mulberry power as well. So that's going to put a lot of CC onto the side of Nongshim RedForce, but Alpha Gaming now locking in that Luna.
Oh, that is Yulong's favorite pick, one of his favorite pick here. The Luna here. So far, we see Nongshim RedForce. Yes, you lock in the DNG and secure. What does it mean? It means they want to play the hyper-aggressive style of the early towards the mid game here. You want to win the lane. You want to push towers here. You might be pairing up the Agudo here, but you might have an issue if in terms of the late game firepower here.
Do you think it'd be a Gudo, or do you think it's going to be the Orgrim? Because I mean, Motsu on the Alpha Gaming side normally kind of try and dictates the fact that maybe an Orgrim comes through, right? Because I mean, Motsu with that Cannon Blast, like you was talking about earlier, really stops those kind of Path of Passings coming through very aggressively onto the side of Nongshim RedForce. I mean, pairing up with the Sakia, that's going to be sustained given over to the Orgrim.
That might be the case because if we pair Secure with an Organ, that's a lot of healing that Alpha Gaming has to tackle here. And we talk about healing, what else is good enough to really counter healing with the Musashi here? Due to the death, it cuts out healing. And due to the death, can lock down the slippery targets such as the Luna that has been locked by the side of APG.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, definitely you don't want that access for the Musashi into your backline, right? Like you're saying, duel to the death, but then also his second skill, the extreme speed, but then also his first skill, that could block the Illuminate Slash, could block a well-timed Cannon Blast as well. So you may think that you're going in for a great engage. Skill 1 comes through with a Musashi. That's now like a complete deterrent.
Exactly, and now if you're APG here, you lock in the Shi once again. This is APG's bread and butter. PHY goes on to the scapegoat. He becomes the sacrificial lamb. He provides all the farm to Yulong to scale towards this mid to late game beast. We talked about this. Luna, you're only weak before you unlock your ultimate. Once your early game is breaking open, that's where you really conquer as this Luna here. So if you're Nongshim RedForce, you want to play the early game to really break this Luna apart.
I mean, here with obviously the Sure pick, PHY, his positioning is going to need to be very sort of well positioned because again, very squishy hero, but at the same time, Sure could also be used to try and get the cleanse off of the D-Ranger. So obviously we know that second skill can also stop the momentum of the Luna as well. But instead of going for the Orgrin, they're going to go for the Flowborn tank. I don't think this has actually been as impactful today as it was yesterday.
Well, I don't think Flowborn Tank has had a first win yet across the entire KWC 2025, but I do understand that the reasoning behind this Flowborn Tank is to use the multiple knockups to stop Luna in her tracks here. And for the side of APG, they lock in the Consort U as their last pick here against the Nongshim RedForce draft to really fight against Fatigue towards the backline dives.
Yeah, backline dives, obviously protective wins is going to stop a lot of that damage, but also the pairing of the Motsu and the Consort U, you not only have a long range stun, that Oak Bolt, I mean, in the early game is so destructive.
Exactly, that's also a 2v2 matchup we have to look about because Secure, G, they have sustain. Oak Bolt and Mozi here. The consort Mozi here, they're looking for a strong 2v2 here. Can secure funnel enough healing towards this Tyrant, or are we going to see this Mozi and consort you outpoke them in the lane?
I mean, only time can tell. But here it is. Obviously, if you missed the BP as it's gone through play by play, pick by pick, this is going to be what you can see here in its entirety, right? I mean, winning conditions of both of these drafts, what are we looking at?
We're looking at very similar drafts here. Nongshim's entire draft here really comes up after the 4th minute mark, and APG here, you want to make sure that Yulong gets the early to mid game right, making sure that all jungle camps are available and not stolen from him. On the side of JD here, you are the late game insurance here in case Yulong falters.
It's in case Yulong falters. I mean, we're definitely looking like very strong shoulders here for JD if that is the case that happens, right? But already we're seeing, obviously, Saber into the mid lane, just trying to get a bit of priority here, maybe to allow PHY to get a bit more of those fast rotations, as we can see right now.
This is the trading between sides, right? You know for a fact that the strong Siri and Faye combo here will dictate the early game of the farm lane here. So, to really trade sides, they secure the spike kill here and they will rotate themselves towards this dimensional sprite that's gonna be spawning in just about 3 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. Funneling that gold over to Dowhen, obviously into the clash lane, is gonna make sure that Byron's early game's even more effective, right? But also mean that Haku is not gonna have as much resources thanks to the lack of camps.
I do agree so as well, but it's always a map state game here. So if you trade on one side, I do believe Nongshim knows to trade away the spike tail beast on towards the bottom side of APG's jungle. Just look at this map state right now. PHY is like the second roamer of APG here, while the farm is directly funneled towards Yulong to make sure that he hits his power spike as soon as possible.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with Sher as well, right? It's, again, a utility mage. They're not really looking for very much resources in the early game. They're looking to put it over to Yulong and into the places where it really matters. But right now, Yulong looking pretty, like, close. Gets taken down by Haku in the early game.
And that's the beauty of Floorborn tank. Look at Yulong. Yes, you have the world's most reactive dashes. But if you cannot dash, you're just going to be bounce housed by Haku over and over and over again.
Yeah, a little bit like a lockdown, right? That's a bit unfortunate there for the side of APG. But, I mean, Nongshim had this same kind of start in game number 1, right? They were definitely more fruitful in the early game, but then all it took was one opportunity, one window opening, and that's when APG capitalized on that.
That's the importance of finding team fights, but Siri here might be caught up here as he gets Silk Imprint, but thanks to the spell 2 of Tyrant, the Purify comes in clutch.
So strong, especially with a team comp that's so CC orientated, right? I mean, he may not be too lucky into those team fights if Siri's positioning is not that great, but I mean, look at it here, Luna's basic combo, run it through.
Run it through. So Luna, spell 1, spell 2, and the third basic attack of your passive applies a mark onto the enemy. As long as your ultimate dash onto the enemy with a mark, you get to refresh it. There's no fixed combo, but as long as you practice enough, you can always make sure that your Luna has the ultimate on active.
Ultimate on active and ultimate outcome when you have the Luna looking to make use of those marks from her kit. But right now, obviously, APG, Nongshim, Luna being the first hero to be picked up here. Do you think that's crucial to Yulong's game here?
I do agree so as well here, but look at this. PHY might get a catch onto Faye.
Oh, Faye maybe getting caught out once for where the emergence has come through, but it's a little bit too late. That is going to be a kill going over to the side of APG, so paying back some revenge from that early game.
And this is a 3v1 situation we're looking about because PHY, he's playing the second roamer role here and he's pressuring Siri here. If you step up, you're going to be punished hard here. However, the mid duo here is coming towards the bot side for the cavalry.
For the cavalry, but also maybe potentially to try and set up this neutral objective, right? Because, I mean, we've got about 20 seconds on the board until this Tyrant comes up, because this is going to really help JD just get a little bit more damage, a little bit more poke here.
And PHY's return path here is really scary here. And Nongshim, they want to plant an invade here over to the side of APG's Azure Golem here. No actions happens here as Haku, he may be a victim of this engage.
Yes, he may be a bit overzealous here, but obviously with the help of that Annihilation, it's going to wipe out a lot of damage onto the side of APG. Saber looking pretty low as well. He's able to escape out of there, but on top of that, JD gets a kill. Yulong takes down Siri as well. Haku is not going to be available for these neutral objectives.
PHY once again with the Silk Imprint pulls Haku towards the arms of the embrace of APG. Now, the jungle is wide open for APG to really dictate and steal away everything.
They weren't able to get it. Kyung9 secures the Azure Golem, so this could be a little bit overzealous here for Yulong. He has to get out, but Faye obviously uses Ride the Wind into the bushes. They're not actually going to secure any kill or knock up onto Yulong just yet.
But this is the thing we're talking about on the side of APG's team composition, right? You need to make sure that Yulong has a good scaling here. And right now, just look at this. They have a healthy 1.5k gold just 5 minutes early towards the game here. Nongshim is so pressured right now to shut down this Luna.
They've got to shut down the Luna. They've got to put a stop to this bullet train right now, which is Yulong on this Luna, right? I mean, none of these teams have gone for this neutral objective just yet. I mean, obviously, obscuring and getting that Azure Golem is more of a key proponent of Yulong on this Luna rather than getting the extra damage over to a team. But right now, APG looking to try and go for this, looking a bit of a phase check here to make sure they're not all sitting in this bush. Illusion to the back line. Faye here, Aku quite close by. They're not going to go for it.
As of this point, APG is so strong towards the early to the mid game right now because Yulong is so strong here, but engage goes through as PHY gets taken out immediately.
Well, yes, a little bit too close for comfort there. PHY on the shirt gets taken down. But, I mean, if we look at the mid lane, though, however, there's been a lot of pressure created here for the side of APG.
Oh, exactly here. I think whoever dictates the mid-tempo here will literally be able to push out these leads here. As we saw so far, Haku, the first item being the Succubus Cloak, already to tackle the heavy AP composition here coming in from APG's Yulong, PHY, and Saber. So much magic damage.
Yeah, so Nongshim obviously going for the magic resistance here, but Kyung9 is not quite as lucky there. I mean, he has no magic resistance this far within his kit. He's going to have to let that T1 fall into the top side of the map, but we do see that Nongshim pays back, obviously, across the gorge, getting that T1 down to the bot side.
Exactly, and once again, the mid lane is the story of the game here. Both teams here are making sure that they have enough space to control this bush here. Whoever gets control will be able to get or defend this mid tower that's about to be falling soon.
About to be falling soon. I mean, already Haku is behind in terms of gold, right? So you can already see that Yulong has been able to save those Raptors for himself. Has the 2-level lead in XP also. So right now, Yulong is looking like the carry this far. So JD doesn't have that weight to bear, but PHY is going down again, getting caught out. Is this the scapegoat potential here for the side of APG?
It's definitely Nongshim's way of saying that we are not backing out without a fight here. Once again, as you mentioned, PHY gets caught out uncharacteristically. And right now, if you're Nongshim here, are you planning for invade onto this Azure Golem, or will you secure Siri and Haku more space to farm towards the late game?
It's seeming that way, right? I mean, I think the thing that Yulong is just doing here is making sure they get at least the one Azure Golem, right? Like, they need that for Luna's kit. Anything else is a Brucey bonus into the enemy jungle. But right now, Nongshim RedForce are holding on to this T1 into the mid lane like it is a cross to bear.
Exactly, and look at the gold chart here. Yes, Yulong and JD is on top of the gold chart here. Look at PHY. He's literally lesser gold than a roamer here. That's his playstyle. You don't need gold to really perform onto this Shi. You just need to land these silk imprints and make sure that your team does the damage.
Yeah, speaking of doing damage, I mean, we've seen a bit of a mirror play. We see that Siri is able to take that T2 down to the bot side of the map, so that's going to put a bit of pressure onto the side of APG that they're not quite aware of, but they do pay back the T2 onto the enemy side's clash lane, leaving the package there at the high ground turret. Forces the side of APG to try and go back, but JD gets locked down.
Beautiful map play here coming in from Nongshim RedForce here. They were the more disciplined bunch to really retreat Siri and Faye here. And JD and Saber was too little too late, and JD got punished hard.
JD getting punished hard. I mean, this is not what you really want, right? I mean, he's meant to be that secondary carry if Yulong fails. But right now, he's not failing at that mission, right? I mean, he's 7.8k to Haku's 5.1. So already still looking a little bit like a success story is Yulong for the side of APG.
And just about 9 minutes, Yulong is already almost hitting that level 15 mark here. He's farming so fast onto this Luna.
So fast. But I mean, he needs to, right? Maybe this Vanguard is going to be enough to try and take this down, but thanks to, obviously, Illusion on the Nua, being able to push away the Vanguard means that they can keep that T1 safer now.
Exactly here, and Faye here looks for the engage on PSY, gets reacted immediately here. They do a handshake, flash for flash.
Flash for flash, but that was a nice, obviously, flash and Morbury power combo there for the side of an NS Siri, but now they need to pull out these stops. But luckily for PHY, he had the flash as well, expanded it.
But look at the side lanes though. The side lanes are so in favor of APG right before this Shadow Tyrant is about to spawn. There's so much side lane pressure being formed around the Shadow Tyrant here. And right now, APG looks to push down this bottom tower.
Looks to push this bottom tower as well, but JD gets that last little touch onto the T1 into the mid lane. It's already starting to open up for the side of Nongshim. This could be scary as we get into that 10-minute mark, but Dowhan getting trading few blows here between himself and Kyung9.
And once again, we talked about Blam. This is a 10-minute mark we're talking about, and Dowhan goes in for the engagement.
Oh, Dowhan, he goes in deep onto Faye, but doesn't get a kill there. Yulong is just trying to keep Kyung9 off of his backline, does successfully, so nobody dies just yet. Nobody should be dying around this neutral objective, especially the Shadow Variant.
The Shadow Variant goes down fast, and Yulong secures the spine. The fight breaks out.
He tries to go in with the ultimate. Yulong secures the Shadow Tyrant. So right now, if you are Nongshim, you want to be getting out of this team fight.
Exactly here, and right now 10 players are looking to push down this mid tower here. That's the name of the game here. Look at Yulong. He's slowly creeping behind. He takes this Crimson Gold and might look for a flank towards the Nongshim bunch.
Yeah, I mean, for the side of Nongshim, they definitely need one of these neutral objectives, right? They already put the pressure on into the early game, obviously down to the bot side of the map. So maybe they just need to create a little bit more pressure here. Maybe try and gain back some leverage in that mid lane.
Ooh, Yulong is putting so much pressure onto Nongshim here. The presence of him just being behind enemy lines puts so much pressure on Nongshim. They cannot start this Shadow Overlord.
They can't shut the Shadow Overlord. They can't even go and contest it as well, right? I mean, these cannon blasts are just kind of timing, trying to keep away Kyung9 at these team fights. We get in the pull here onto Haku. Haku is already looking very tanky, and he's only level 13. He is behind in gold still to Yulong.
That's a lot of magic defense here being built on the side of Haku here. Yet again, we still have yet to see JD really pop off in these team fights here. So as the game escalates towards the late game, it's gonna be Nongshim Illusion's late game. The power spike coming in from the
there we go. Okay, Haku goes in for the engage, but the obviously think inside the box is gonna stop the side attack from Nongshim RedForce. But Kyung9 goes down. A trade for PHY for the clash lane. Right now, Faye looking pretty low. Siri as well. They are getting some kills. That is currently a 2-1 trade here for Nongshim. They gotta go and tend their farm though, because that high ground turret is taking a bit of a battering.
It's still a 2-for-2 here coming in for South Nongshim here. Yes, they get 2 kills here, but they lose out the Shadow Vanguard, the Shadow Overlord towards the hands of APG here. Right now, in terms of the map state here, once again, the Shadow Vanguard dictates 3 pushing lanes that APG looks to really push out on the side of Nongshim RedForce.
They look to push out. I mean, they need to, right? That was the problem from game number 1. As soon as APG got the lead, Nongshim could not push out a singular bit. But we're seeing here Yulong kind of like holding his favorite teddy here. He has the Shadow Vanguard at his dispense. So really, they're just waiting for the right time to push that down. Maybe trying to meet this top minion wave as well.
Exactly, or they can look for a fight right now because there are no members of the side of Nongshim RedForce around this bottom tier 2 that has just gone down right now. They're looking at the last tier 2 available for the side of Nongshim.
Yeah, I mean, right now, APG looking very strong into this one. I mean, they're around about, what, 3.2k gold ahead at this point. T2 looking like it is going to fall here. APG doing a great work back onto Nongshim's base.
And Shadow Vanguard has been spawned towards the top side of Nongshim RedForce here. A big push is about to happen. APG wants to ride this momentum and get themselves an even bigger lead.
Yeah, I mean, we can see here the last item built here by PHY is the Splendor, so you can see that he may get the dive on once again, but if he can activate that invincibility or that status, he could save and wipe out so much more. But speaking of a wipeout, it's going to be Faye getting taken down first. Haku looking pretty low. Yulong using that Splendor as well is able to capitalize and go in onto the back line. He has the Sage's Sanctuary, he has the Vanguard.
He has everything. Sage Sanctuary, Splendor, everything. Splendor here. Illusions. The final hope of Nongshim RedForce falls. APG takes it 2-0 clean.
A 2-0 scoreboard, Sagi. I mean, I personally predicted that this was going to be a 2-1, but APG looking very strong and no longer going to be gatekeeped by Nongshim RedForce because they are a 3rd seed and they've taken out the KME champions.
Wow, what a series here coming in from both teams here. APG really playing towards the jungle carry-centric playstyle. Everything, everyone for Yulong, and Yulong delivered with a silver platter.
Delivered with a silver platter, and I mean, I just want to see like Holder's face at this point, right? I mean, another loss to the